All right. We're checking some chit out today here in Studio 11 at Tree Sound. We got the wonderful Tiago from Valhalla Amps here, and we got the whole Jotun lineup here. So roll the intro.
Checking chit out, checking chit out. We're checking chit out, we're checking chit out. We're checking chit out, we're checking chit. Todos los días, Lewis and Paul Diaz.
All right, so we're here in Studio 11. We got the Jotun series here by Valhalla. We got Paul too here to answer. We'll figure out some crazy questions to throw at Tiago and learn the history of these amps. We're going to do separate videos on each one of them, but we're going to get down and get nerdy with the specs right off the gate. So, Tiago, we got the 100, the 50, and the 20 over here with us. These, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. They represent the wattage, right?
Correct. The top one, which is the smaller one in size, it's the 20 watt, which is a 2EL84 power tube amp. The preamp, it's very simple. It consists of 2 gains, 2 volumes, and a set of bass, mid, treble, and presence, EQ. And the bottom ones, 50 and 100, they have gain and volume, like the 20 watts, bass, treble, mid, and presence controls, but different, obviously, power output tubes. And the 50 watt has 2 EL34s, while the 100 watt has 4 EL34s.
Okay.
So the smaller one, the main difference between the small and the 2 bigger ones is, besides the power tube type, the size of the transformers, of course, and the small one has 2 channels and 3 sounds out of it, 3 modes. So the first channel has the very clean, crystal clean sound. And on top of that, it also has an overdrive mode. And then if you go to the second channel, you have a very high gain channel that it's super dynamic. Now, that's for the 20 watt. If you go to the 50 and 100, you have 5 sounds, 5 different modes, all of them foot switchable, which are pristine, clean on the first channel. Then on top of that, you have the overdrive mode, and also the overdrive with boost, which gets you on the high gain category. That's all on the first channel. Now, if you go to the second channel, you have an overdrive mode plus overdrive with boost, which is a high gain sound also. So you have all 5 different modes on the 50 and 100, and 3 different modes on the 20 watt. So that's the main difference between them.
The primary difference is there's no boost on the 20 watt.
Correct. There's no
boost pedal. So you've got A and B channel, and
the power tubes too.
And besides the tubes, right? Yeah. 32s on the 20 and 34s and then 40.
But on the 20 watt amp, the second channel, it has enough gain to pretty much get close to the second channel with boost on the 50 and 100 watts. So that it's not because it does not have the boost feature on the 20 watt that it's not enough.
Right. It's not foot switchable. We just got to go up to the knob and Turn it to
pretty
11.
much like it's like having the boost
Yeah.
on the second channel of the 20 watts on all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it has that amount of gain. But what impresses me the most is that it has that amount of gain, but it does not lose clarity or dynamics. You know, it's super, super dynamic. So that, to the point that if you just bring the volume back, it will clean up really well. And the clarity on the drive channel of those amps, or on the clean channel with drive mode too, it's just incredible because you can play any chord full, like 4, 5, or 6 string chords, complex chords, and you will hear every note on the strings that you play. You know, it's
something I noticed a lot the first time we played it through it.
The reaction time, the speed of the reaction.
These dense chords too. You can just hear every single string ringing out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, at an even volume. And on the clean channel, as you were mentioning this, it has a lot of headroom. Can you saturate that clean channel before even hitting any of those modes, or does it stay pretty much clean all the way up?
It has a lot of headroom. Probably one of the amps with most headroom that I've heard so far, you know, on clean mode. However, if you still want to overdrive it a little bit, more like an edge-of-breakup, you still push it, and if you use the gain above like 1 o'clock, you'll get a little bit of overdrive, especially if you have like a higher gain output pickup, like either a humbucker or a P90, something like that. That will help push the first channel. But with the amount of headroom that you have on the clean channel, you probably don't even want to do that. You just want to keep it clean and just foot switch to the second channel and maybe bring the guitar volume a little bit down.
Does it break up at a similar point on the 50 and 100 as well?
They do.
Okay.
They do. They have similar breakup points on the dials for both gain and output controls.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the same volume because the 100 will be a little bit louder, but the 100 watts start breaking up at about the same spot where the 50 does.
Yeah.
And what about the 20? Where does that land in there? Is it similar?
It's very similar too. You know, the 20, I've always seen people, I mean, the sweet spot, it's very similar on the dial. But since it's a 20 watt, which means a lot less output, I've always seen people trying this amp quite a bit.
Right, driving it a little bit harder.
Yeah. But even if you push the output volume more on the 20s, it still holds like together quite well. It's the clean headroom. If you have like a clean headroom to begin with, even if you put on the overdrive mode and you push the output, it will hold together the overdrive.
I think we've used the 20 a lot around here. We have the 20 and the 50. And I think one of the reasons that the 20 has become popular around here is because in the studio, you can drive it harder. Yeah. Like you said, with less volume on the output, but still get the same quality of crunchy.
Yeah. And the other thing I also...
it's lighter, easier to carry around too.
That's true, yeah.
Especially when you're talking about like some more fragile microphones too that don't handle well like high SPLs.
That's right.
Lower wattages.
That's right.
And whenever you're doing like sessions where you have everybody playing together, the less volume you have in the room,
it's easier to get along. Yeah.
And believe me or not, those amps, the sweet spot on the output volume, I found like anywhere in between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Yeah. So anywhere in between there, you're super fine. But even at lower volumes, I found that those amps, the overdrive sound on them sound incredible. Just at like with the volume on 1, you barely having any volume at all, and you still get quite a lot of like speaker explosion. When you play palm mutes and you see you pretty much feel the cabinet speaker just like doing that super air pushing to push to push forward the low end, even at very low volume, it does that. So
Fascinating.
yeah, I use
they're
mine.
amazing.
I use mine at home a lot, like late at night, at literally bedroom volume whenever I still feel like playing guitar.
Yeah.
I just turn it on very low volume, and I have a lot of fun with it. Even at very low volume.
Yeah.
But of course, like every tube amp, the louder you get, the better it
Sounds, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's true of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, human nature.
Yeah.
If you're comparing A and B is a couple dBs louder, you're going to go to B every time.
Yeah.
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 We just want it. We just want more.
Yeah.
We're humans.
Well, speaking of more, there's also all 3 of them have an effects loop, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
They all have a fully tube buffered effects loop, and very, very transparent and great. Oh, and by the way, they're all serial, all inline effects loop. They're not parallel effects loop.
Okay.
So they work great, even with like EQs. If you want to put like a either a parametric or a graphic EQ, it works great with that. If you want to put like a noise gate on the loop, works great there. Although the noise floor on those amps are
Amazing.
extremely low.
It's crazy.
It is.
Extremely
yeah.
low.
Yeah.
One of the things that surprised me about them is how low the noise floor is. And
Yeah.
on the stage, when I've seen them on stages a few times, we used one the other night here. That's one of the things I noticed. It went from like, seemingly silent, especially when there's other stuff going on, to just full ball, super loud, just right in your face.
Yeah.
I don't think I would almost not want a gate.
No,
I mean, on an
Me
amp like this,
me in
it's so
particular,
quiet.
the only thing that you might want to use with this amp would be delay, maybe reverb, chorus, some modulations. A lot of people like those also. And by the way, that's one of the very few amps that modulation works incredible on the front end, even before distortion. Works great with those amps. If you put on the effects loop, it sounds incredible. If you put on the front end, it will sound quite different, but it still will sound like very musical. Again, I think that maybe because of the high headroom. So
Yeah.
boosts.
Yeah.
I don't use boost with those amps.
I
at
don't
all.
think it needs it. Yeah.
But we did try just to make sure that the amp would take boosts well. If you put a boost in front of it, if you turn the amp boost off and you put like either a tube screamer or any type of like front end boost, the amp sounds incredible with it. The other thing that I've noticed, I did every kind of tests you can imagine with this amp before I even started working for them, because they loaned me one, and I wanted to run the amp to the floor.
Yeah.
To have no excuse to later on say, oh, I didn't try that out. I haven't tried that out. And one of the things that I did was I tried vintage effects with it on the cleaning channel, because a lot of there's quite a few amps that if you plug, let's say, Fuzz Face or Big Muff or even a Tube Screamer, it will sound really harsh because of the top end that the amp has. the effect will sound very, very hard and musical. And the first time I plugged a tone bender through it, I was like, yeah, that's it. Because the clean channel of this amp takes effects so incredibly well that you can put a tone bender, you can put a treble boost in front of it, you can put anything, and it will sound musical through it. The amp will just get that effect and just push it through the speakers. You know, and it's a very, very almost high fidelity quality that this amp has. Instead of like getting what you putting through it and giving you something else that it's unmusical or not pleasant, you know, it just takes whatever you give to it, it just gives you back at volume.
Do we have some Valhalla amps that are going to have reverb built in?
We do have. Matter of fact, we have a combo that is the Rancho.
The Rancho de la Luna combo. I've seen it. Yeah. That's why I was thinking. I thought it had a reverb. Yeah,
and it's a great sound amp. It's
I've heard it. It sounds amazing. Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah.
I do remember it at Dave's birthday. Yeah.
It's a very, very incredible sound amp. That's from a different line. That's for the custom shop line that Valhalla has, and this is the studio line that we have, studio and stage that we call, and
which I think is a perfect description for it because it's like it's a studio workhorse.
Yeah.
And I know there was one thing I wanted to add to it, like an adjective that it doesn't like escape my head every time I hear these amps, especially with the clean well, even the distortion and all that stuff too. But it's like it's immersive. Like you get, at least in the room, you know, and this is something that like my whole life I've struggled to capture too with recordings too. Like when you're in the room with the sound, you know, it's like, how do I translate that to a record, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that's very difficult to do. But when you're in the room with this amp, you feel it everywhere. It fills up the room in a very pleasant way. And the clean, especially, they have this 3D quality to them. And when we're going to do a video about this too, because we're going to be playing with some pedals as well. But when Tiago showed me with some chorus, it was like, get out of town. It's like I put on some 3D goggles.
Yeah.
But for my ears.
Yeah, I think we noticed that too when we first started recording it and trying to compare it to other things. One of the things we noticed was that it had more presence. It was more in your face than other things we compared it to. It was like you'd look at the waveforms and you'd think this looks like it might be louder. At one point we were comparing it to a waveform that was clearly more compressed, and it was like this is going to be louder. Yeah. And as soon as we heard it, it was the Valhalla with no compression, just raw. Yeah. Was louder. It sounded more present, louder, better, punchier. And we even talked about it then. It was when you're in the room with that, it changes the way you play. Yeah. Because you have to interact with that reaction from the amp.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is a good place to get into it, to start nerding out and hearing them.
Oh, yeah.
Say so? Or is there any other bells and whistles that it might do that you can think of that we need to add?
Resuming everything, it's just like, it's one of the best amps out there, if not the best one out there right now.
Right.
And I'm telling you this because Paul knows me a little bit, and everybody that knows me well knows I've been chasing amps my whole life, ever since I was a kid. And I was lucky enough to go through a few of very, very high-end and very sought-after amps. And literally the first time I've heard this amp, I said, I have something special about this thing. And to today, that feeling hasn't changed. You know?
Yeah.
After that, I've got one on a loan from the company. Months later, I started working for them, and now I'm here representing them.
Yeah.
I think that should say something about how much I like those amps.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, it's not a sales pitch or anything like that. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm the opposite, not the opposite, but I have a bunch of amps because I'm a studio rat and I have to have them.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more, this is a great tool for recording. This is so versatile. You can get so much out of one amp that it's, you know, it's just awesome in the studio. And a lot of the amps, you know, boutique amps, a lot of them have like a flavor.
Yeah.
This is the flavor.
Yes.
And it's going to sound like this, and it's not going to sound like the other one. So you go through 10 different amps trying to figure out which flavor you want, right?
Yeah.
And this amp is like having a bunch of them in the same box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, you know, that there are plenty of amazing amps out there. You know, I mean, first few amps.
You would know he has amps that cost more than my house.
But I mean, come on, we started making electric amplifiers during the 40s. I think it was doing it for maybe late 30s. I think Gibson was doing something like on the late 30s. The EH series, I think the EH series, it's from the late 30s.
I have a Gibson Ranger. It's old, but not that old. So it's
like, we've been making guitar amps for almost 100 years now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that of course there's, you should expect that there's a lot of great amps out there. And I've seen many of them. I had many of them, and I used many of them. I used to have a studio also, on which we would focus most of the work on the guitar work. And so because of that, I had a good collection of amps there too. And I will never forget the first time I played this amp. It was like, you play a few chords and you're like, yeah, it's all there. You know, the low end, it's there. The mid-range, it's there. The treble, it's there. The presence, it's there. But everything is so well balanced within the guitar range. And everything you play is so fast and so... I mean, the response, it's immediate.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the attack of this amp, it's immediate. And it's still not a stiff amp to play. Because usually when an amp it has a very fast attack, it feels really stiff under the fingers, not those. But I remember the first time I played, I was like, yep, this thing has something. And then I started trying to figure out the EQ. And then I was like, yeah, this is just perfect. Because the EQ on this amp, it does the... I mean, as soon as you plug in, you have a great tone to begin with. No matter how you set.
Sure.
You have a great tone. Now, if you twist the EQ knobs, it will just get better. You know, it will not... Because it will not change the sound. You get like some amps that... The EQ, it's very interactive, you know. So if let's say if you crank the bass, it will pull back a lot of the mid range. So once you adjust the bass, you got to readjust the mid range, and then because you mess with the mid range, you got to readjust the high end too. Not those. Yeah. Those are just like once you plug in, you have already a good sound. No matter what channel or what mode. And then from there, you're just going to fine-tune something that already sounds great. So
how, like, you know, like outboard EQs have always been, right? Where it's like, for the most part, you start cranking up a band and it sounds all right. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to compare it to like in like the virtual world. Sometimes you'll like pull something up and it's like, oh, it sounds disgusting. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the most musical EQ I ever heard on a guitar amp. Period.
I mean, the whole circuit, really, all the circuitry in there is very musical. It
is.
It's the kind of piece of gear where you can just plug something in and have everything neutral, and it's just going to sound better when it comes out the other end. And the other thing, you know, to point out is I've heard keyboards through it that sound amazing.
Yeah.
You know, somebody with a Nord on a stage or something like that that's, you know, playing the fake Rhodes or whatever the hell it is, or sounds amazing through one of those things. And it has the same effect. It's the reaction time. It's the musical EQ, etc.
The response, you know, the clarity. Well, we plugged violins. That was in June, right? Dave's birthday.
Dave's birthday. Yeah,
Plugged
June.
violins. We plugged samplers.
The bass amp, of course, if you didn't mention.
Bass
amazing.
amp, yeah.
The Odin, right?
Odin,
Yeah.
Incredible sounding bass amp. Probably the best bass amp I've heard in my whole life, too. And
All the same characteristics, just more of them.
Yeah. Just more. Give me
Now-
more.
now, one of the great things about it is that not many people think about this, but at the end of the day, helps incredibly. Well, it's that because of the way it's designed and how easy it is to achieve a great sound out of it, you don't waste time like dialing even. You know, you sit down in front of it, it's like you pick how much gain you want, you pick how loud you want. You might spend like a minute, if that, tweaking the tone controls, but just a little bit, you know, just a little bit. And the rest of the time you have free to play at home and enjoy it, to play on stage, you know, and to keep going on the sound check and not have to be dialing in EQ anymore, or you're going to be ready to record if you're in a studio situation. You know, it saves so much time.
Yeah, I think the last time we were trying to dial it in between the clean channel and the dirty channel, I don't think it took us 20 minutes.
No.
It was pretty quick. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was right up the gate. We didn't even touch the EQ because it sounded great.
Yeah.
And that's where I personally like the EQs. I think the EQs should be more of a tool when, you know, like the room affects how your amp is starting to sound. So it's like, I want my guitar amp to sound just like this. And then now when I go to different places, if there, for whatever reason, I'm on a stage that there's like a big low end buildup, well, I can take away a little bit of the low end on the amp. Mm-hmm. And that way I can get more of a, but then the character of the amp is still there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a good point to also mention that we got a somewhat of a custom cab here going on, right? Because we have a vintage 30 speakers and then Celestion Redbacks.
Redbacks, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Redbacks are warmer, right?
Yeah.
And,
we got the Redbacks on top, which are kind of like a warmer, on the warmer side. The fans are a little bit on darker sounding speakers. And we have the vintage 30s on the bottom, which are very mid and presence forward.
Probably the most recorded speaker of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when you hear the two, when you oppose the two, one of them almost sounds like bitey and the other one sounds muffled.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited to hear is the combination of the two.
Yep.
And we got them mic'd up, both of them, with the 57 and Sennheiser 421. And we'll get straight into it. We'll start with the 100 in a little bit. So make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video. Stay tuned for the next up, because this is going to become pretty much a series. We'll go through all the three heads. We'll play with some pedals too. And then we'll do a bunch of A/B testing as well in the control room. So we'll catch you guys on the next video.
Checking shit out.
Checking shit out. We're checking shit out. Checking shit out. We're checking shit. Checking shit out. Checking shit out. We're checking shit.